So hello everyone, welcome back to the course and to the channel as well. In today's lecture we're going to be covering the fundamentals of CSS. You're going to learn everything that you need to get started, and that includes the CSS syntax, how you can apply it, and also an essential concept called the CSS Box Model. So if you are new here, I'm Tanaka Chanesa. I'm a full stack web developer and I'm also a first year software engineering student at the University of Zimbabwe. And on this channel I'm dedicated to be helping you to go from a beginner to a professional web developer through teaching you the necessary skills that you need in order to achieve that. So let's get started. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it is a language that we use to style or to describe the presentation of our web pages, and that includes controlling the colors, the fonts, the layout, and the overall appearance of our web pages. And there are three ways that we can apply CSS to our web pages. We can use inline styling, we can also use internal styling, we can also use what is known as external CSS styling. And I'm going to cover each and every one of those in due time, but for now let's start by covering inline styling. So I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code. So I'm here in Visual Studio Code right now, and I'm going to open up an example which I've made in advance, which is hello.html. Sorry. So on hello.html, we just have an h1 which is saying hello world in the body of our page, and I'm going to run that file. I'm going to say start hello.html. And as you can see now, in the body of our page we just have some text or a big heading saying hello world, like that. But let's say we want to change the color from this color that is to a blue color, for example. I'm going to demonstrate that using inline styling. So if I come here, so for you to use inline styling, you're going to state an attribute on your element which is known as style. So I'm going to go on this h1 and say style, and inside the double quotes I'm going to put the styles that you want to apply to this h1 element. So in this case we want to change the color. So the way that it works, we have a property and we have a value. So the property is going to be the style that you want to apply. For example, the color. So I'm going to say color. I'm going to put a colon, and I'm going to provide the value that you want to be the actual color for this element. So I'm going to say blue and put a colon like that. And if I go back to the browser now and refresh, I'm going to see that we have our h1 in blue color, just as we expect it to be. And you can also apply multiple styles to the same element as well. Let's say we want to change the font for this heading. Let's say we want it to be in Arial. I'm just going to state another style after blue here. I'm just going to say font family. So font family is going to actually control the font that this heading is going to be displayed in. So let's say we want to display it in Arial. I'm just going to state Arial like that. And if I go back to the browser now and refresh, you're going to see that our big heading is being displayed in Arial, just as we stated like that on that h1. So as you can see, inline styling is quick and easy. You can actually rapidly apply our styles to our elements as fast as possible without any configuration that we need to apply. You can just apply that directly to our h1 element like that. But there are some downsides to inline styling that we're going to be covering now. So in order for me to demonstrate the problems that we might run into when using inline styling, I'm going to put a paragraph under this heading. I'm going to say this is a paragraph like that. And I'm going to rerun this file. I'm going to rerun it. And now we have a paragraph under the heading hello world. But let's say we want to style this paragraph the same way that we have styled our hello world. We want it to be in blue color as well. We want it to be displayed in font Arial as well, just as our hello world. That means we're going to be coming back here, and we're going to be copying this code just as it is, and we're going to be putting it on the paragraph like that. And if we go back for sure and refresh, our paragraph is going to be displayed in blue, and it is going to be displayed in Arial font as well. But whenever we are styling these elements, we need to start to think about the extremes that these things can get, because let's say we want to add like 10 more elements after these two elements, and we also want to style them the same way that we have styled these elements. We also want to change the color to blue and change the font family to Arial like that. That means we're going to be copying and pasting code. We're going to be copying this style over and over again and pasting it again to those elements, just so they can be in that style that we want them to be. So every time you find yourself doing that, every time you find yourself having some repetitions like these ones, just know that it's not going to be the best way that you can use to style your elements. there's probably a better way to do that. And another problem that you might run into when styling our elements is going to be the readability of our code, if you will. So let's say we want to add like more styles, like 10 more styles on this h1 element. Let's say we want to change the font size, or change the background color, or change the margin, or whatever we might want to change. That means we're going to be adding all those styles one after the other, and our code is going to get long, our styles are going to get long, or our lines are going to get long, and it is going to affect the readability of our code, which is something that we don't want. We always want our code to be more readable to you and to others as well. So for you to get rid of actually that, to improve the readability of your code, and also to get rid of the repetitions that we were having a moment ago, these ones, we're going to be using a better way to style our elements, which is going to be internal styling. So let's now move on to internal styling. So in order for me to demonstrate how we can use internal styling, I'm going to get rid of all these styles. I'm going to press Ctrl G and Ctrl X on my keyboard, and I'm going to go inside the head of our page, and I'm going to define what is known as the style element. So inside the style element, that is where you're going to put all the styles that you want to apply for this page. So the way that it works now, we're going to state the element that you want to style. So we want to style our heading, our h1, and we're going to open up curly braces like this, and inside the curly braces we're going to define the styles that you want to apply to this h1. So in this case we want to change the color, so I'm going to say color, and I'm going to say the color is going to be blue. And if I go back to the browser now and refresh, we're going to see that we now have our h1 in blue, and it has now changed from the font that it was before, but it is in blue just as we expect it to be. So that is how you use internal styling. And we're also going to actually see if you can actually style the paragraph as well. So if you want to style the paragraph, you're going to just say P, which is the paragraph, and we also want to change the color to blue, if you will. And let's say we want to change the font family as well to Arial, like that. And maybe here we also want to change the font family to Arial. Like that. So if I go back to the browser now and refresh, we're going to see that we have our text, we have our heading in our paragraph just as before in Arial font, and also in blue color, just as we expected them to be. So let's now see some of the problems that we are having now. Like we said we're going to use internal styling to get rid of the repetition and to increase readability of our code. But as you can see now, we still have repetition. We still have this one, color blue. We also have color blue here. We also have font family here. We also have font family here. So when using internal styling, there's a better way actually you can use to get rid of that now. So for you to get rid of that, let's say we want to apply the same style to the same elements, like this h1 in paragraph. We want to change the color to blue. We also want to change the font family to Arial. So the way you can do it, you're going to just get rid of this and just set h1 and comma and the paragraph, and then inside the curly braces now you're going to put the styles that you want to apply to these elements, like this. And I'm going to say Arial, like that. So if I go back now, if I save and go back to the browser now and refresh, you're going to see that our heading and our paragraph is now in blue and in Arial, just as we expected them to be. And as you can see now, we don't have the repetition as well. We also have our code that is more readable to you and also to other people that might come and read your code, if you will. So that is how you use internal styling. And let's now see some of the problems that you might run into when using internal styling. So the one major problem that you might run into when using internal styling is going to be the organization or some separation of concerns of our HTML code and our CSS styles. Because in real world web programming, you're going to be having some HTML files that are actually long, and the longer the file gets, the more the styles that you might want to apply to that page. So as you can imagine, let's say we have a larger file, that means we're going to be having a lot of CSS styles inside our HTML file, which is something that we actually don't want. We want to have our CSS styles to be actually separate from our HTML code altogether. So that is where our external CSS styling comes into handy, and I'm going to be covering external CSS styling right now. So in order for me to demonstrate external CSS styling, I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to get rid of the style elements. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to actually have made a file in advance, which is hello.css, and inside this file I'm going to be putting all the styles that I want to apply to hello.html. So let's say I want to style the body. I want to make it have a background color of green, background color of green, and I want to change the color to white, for example. So color is going to affect all the text that is going to be displayed on this file or on hello.html file. So if I run this file now, if I run the file, you're going to see that we have our original hello.html with no styles at all, and that is because we have not defined or stated inside this file that we want to use hello.css to style this file. So for you to state that, we're going to define an element known as link, and link is going to have an attribute which is rel, which stands for relationship, which just states that the file that we want to link is going to be a style sheet, something that we can use to style our page. And href is going to state the file that we want to use for that. So in this case, we want to use hello.css to style this file. So if I save the file now and go back now and refresh, you're going to see that we have a background color of green. We also have our text, our heading and a paragraph in white color, just as we expected it to be, just as we stated inside this file. So that is how we use internal styling, and also you can also define the font family that we were using font family, I'm going to say Arial. And if I go back to that file now, you're going to see that our text is now displayed in Arial fonts, just like that. So that is how you use internal styling. That is how you actually use internal styling. You just link your file by using the link attribute like that. So we've covered all the ways that we can use to style our elements. We have covered internal styling, we've covered inline styling, that is the first one that we started with, and we've covered now external CSS styling. And let's now move on to the last thing that we're going to be covering in this lecture, which is going to be the CSS Box Model. So let's move on to that. So the CSS Box Model is just about how our elements are structured and how they take up space on our web page. And for me to demonstrate that, I'm going to use an example of this picture. I'm going to open up this side by side like this. I'm here in hello.css now, like this is the file that I've opened. I'm going to style my h1 and my paragraph element. I'm going to give them what is known as the border. I'm going to state 1 pixel solid blue. I'm going to state another thing, which is margin. I'm going to say 50 pixels, and the padding is going to be 50 pixels as well. Sorry, I should have put a colon here like that. So if I refresh this page now, we're going to see that we have our h1 in our paragraph elements looking like this. And the box model just contains of 4 things. We have a border, which is going to be the border for our elements. We have the margin, which is going to be the space around our HTML elements. And we have some padding, which is going to be the space inside our elements. And we also have the content, which is going to be the content itself. So if you think of it as per this diagram, we're going to see now that we have this green box is going to be the body of our page, and the space around, or the space around our h1, our element is going to be this one in blue. So this space is going to be the margin, this space around is going to be the margin, and the space inside our h1 element, or our element, is going to be the padding, and it's going to be the content. So that is the box model in simpler terms. So a quick note before we wrap up this lecture, I just want to leave you with a crucial reminder. Becoming a professional web developer requires you to do more than just watching these tutorials. The one major issue that you're going to face after watching all this is how to apply all this. And I believe there's 3 things that you need to do for you to become a professional web developer in the quickest and efficient way possible. And the first thing, you need to be working on the right projects. You need to be working on projects that help you, or that challenges you, and also help you to solidify what you just learned. And the second thing, you also need a mentor or an instructor, someone who can guide you, provide you with answers, and also with valuable and immediate feedback. And the last thing that you need a community. You need to be within a community of other students who are also learning with you, and others who you can collaborate with and tackle problems together. And with those 3 things in place, nothing is going to stop you from being a professional web developer. So if you are serious about being a professional web developer, make sure you click the links in the description of this video, and that is going to give you access to the community of other students who are learning with us, and get access to all those things that I just mentioned, and we'll see you on the other side. And that is all we had to cover today. Let's just summarize everything that we just covered. We covered what is CSS, we also covered how to apply CSS, and we finished with the CSS Box Model. And if you have any questions or any suggestions or anything that you'd like us to know, make sure you leave that in the comment section. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you like the video, and also you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. And until then, peace.